Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into some fascinating sources that challenge how we usually think about ancient history, science, even spirituality.
We've got some really intriguing material, yeah. It offers a whole new lens.
It really does. And a key idea that comes up right away is this shift from seeing things as just mythology.
Exactly. The sources sort of invite us to think differently. If you see these ancient stories as just, fables, okay, that's mythology.
Right.
But if you approach them as containing fundamental truths, maybe truths wrapped in symbolism that's evolved over time, then, well, the sources call it setiology.
Satiology. I like that. Truthology, almost. It reframes it completely.
It does. Understanding these narratives as fact, even if the telling has changed.
So that's our mission today, then. To unpack some of these surprising facts, maybe connect some dots you wouldn't normally connect.
Precisely. And show how ancient wisdom was often way ahead of what we think of as modern science. It's kind of a shortcut to getting really well informed.
Expect some aha moments, basically. Let's dive in. Where should we start? Maybe with Ravan. He's a figure everyone thinks they know.
Good starting point.
Yeah.
Because the sources, well, they paint a very different picture from the usual idea.
Which is often that he was mostly good, maybe just made one big mistake with Sita.
Yeah, that common view. The sources say it's quite inaccurate. They're specific that he made many significant errors. He abducted numerous women, not just Sita.
Oh, really? Not just Sita?
No, her abduction was more like the final nail in the coffin,
Yeah.
The culmination of his, let's say, excessive behavior, it was that act that really necessitated Ram's avatar appearing.
So it wasn't like a sudden fall from grace, it was gradual.
Exactly. Those 10 heads, they aren't meant literally in these texts. They symbolize 10 specific flaws he developed over time, things he cultivated to an extreme.
Okay, so flaws he developed, not ones he was born with.
Right. And this actually ties into a bigger theme in the sources about the Kali Yuga, our current age. The idea is that human intelligence is sort of deteriorating in this age. And because of that, we might misinterpret these figures or even consciously try to, put a positive spin on negative characters from the past. We lose the original context.
That makes sense. Our own understanding gets clouded. Okay, speaking of figures who span different ages, Parashuram comes up a lot. He seems fascinating.
Oh, absolutely. He's unique, mentioned across 3 of the 4 yugas.
3, wow.
And get this, he's one of the Dashavatars, the 10 main avatars of Vishnu, and he's one of the Sapta Chiranjeevis, the 7 immortals.
So both an avatar and immortal. How does that work?
It's a unique status. The sources detail his, immense wrath. He famously cleared the earth of Kshatriyas, the warrior class, 21 times.
21 times. Why?
It was after they killed his father, the Rishi Jumdani. But what's really interesting is the source of his power against them. His mother, Renuka, was actually a Kshatriya.
Ah, so he had that warrior lineage inside him.
Exactly. He understood them, their strengths, their weaknesses, maybe on a deeper level because of that connection.
That's a powerful detail. And he connects to the Ramayana too, right? With the bow.
He does. He'd given Shiva's divine bow, Pinaka, to King Janaka, Sita's father, but he'd removed the string.
Right. The challenge was to string it.
Correct. And when Ram not only strung it but broke it, that led to Parashuram showing up. Initially very angry, it was a major confrontation.
And this highlights the timescales involved, doesn't it?
Massively.
Yeah.
The Treta Yuga alone is said to span 864,000 years. Parashuram was the first avatar in that yuga. Ram was the last.
So hundreds of thousands of years between them. And Parashuram was there for both.
Apparently so. It's almost impossible to grasp that time frame, isn't it?
It really is. An immortal witnessing these huge epochs. And his story continues even after that.
Oh, yes. It extends right into the Mahabharata era. He was a physical guru, a teacher to some absolute legends.
Like who?
Bhishmapatama, Karna, Dronacharya. He physically trained them in warfare.
Wow, he trained Bhishma and Drona.
Yes. And there's this great anecdote where Bhishma actually defeats Parashuram in battle.
The student beat the master.
He did. And Parashuram, recognizing it, blessed him. He essentially said, the student has become better than the guru, a real passing of the torch.
What an incredible arc, spanning yugas, training heroes.
Yeah.
And as you said, that's probably just scratching the surface.
Definitely more layers there.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Something else that jumped out from the sources was the focus on the number 9.
Ah, yes, 9. The sources present it as, almost a magical number. It pops up constantly, both in mathematics and in the scriptures.
Mathematically, how so?
Well, take the 9 times table. Any product, like 9 times 2 is 18. Add the digits. 1 plus 8, you get 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. It always reduces to 9.
Huh, okay, that's neat.
But it gets weirder. The sources point out the diameters of the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun in miles. If you add up the digits of each of those huge numbers,
Don't wait.
each one sums to 9.
Get out. Seriously. Earth, Moon, and Sun.
According to these sources, yes. And it's in geometry, too. Angles like 90 degrees, 45, 180, 360. Some of the digits is always 9. Same for the total degrees in a triangle or a circle.
Okay, that's starting to feel less like coincidence and more like a code, a fundamental principle.
That's how it's presented, like 9 is woven into the fabric of the cosmos. And you see it mirrored in culture and scripture, too.
Like the Navagraha, the 9 planets.
Exactly. The 9 Durga, 9 rasas in art, the 9 gems or Navratna. Human pregnancy is 9 months, typically.
A japa mala has 108 beads. 1 plus 0 plus 8 is 9.
You got it. The Malayarada War lasted 18 days. 1 plus 8 is 9. The Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. 1 plus 8 is 9. Even the total count of verses, the shlokas, in the Upanishads apparently sums to 9.
It's genuinely everywhere, from the cosmic scale down to religious practice.
It suggests this deep underlying harmony.
All right, from the harmony of 9 to something. Well, the sources described it as potentially frightening, the nature of souls and salvation.
Yes, this part is quite profound. We often talk about moksha, salvation, as the ultimate goal, right?
The best possible outcome.
But the sources say, well, it can be dangerous if you don't achieve it. Souls that miss salvation are described as wandering through various worlds, facing challenges, maybe long periods of unrest.
So not just reincarnation, but potentially getting lost.
Something like that. And they introduce this idea of soul age, not how long the body lived, but the soul's total experience, maybe thousands of years.
Okay.
And during that age, a soul might live in many bodies for different lengths of time. This could explain why a young child might seem like an old soul, you know?
Their soul might literally be older in terms of experience than their parent soul.
Potentially, yes. And this also helps make sense of karmic connections. The idea that souls keep meeting across lifetimes isn't random. It's because their journeys and maybe unfinished business are intertwined.
Wow. That adds a whole layer of complexity to reincarnation. Souls evolving, connecting over vast stretches of time. Which brings us to how beings themselves change across the yugas.
Right. The sources describe a definite pattern, a kind of deterioration through the 4 ages.
How does it break down?
In Satyuga, the first age, it's described as a golden age. Gods were powerful, humans were inherently pure, and demons, the Asuras or Danavas, they simply couldn't even enter Earth's sphere.
Okay, pristine. Then what happens?
Treta Yuga, the time of the Ramayana. Human purity starts to decline, demons gain power. They managed to cross what the sources describe using a modern analogy like Earth's ozone layer. They could now reach Earth, leading to conflicts in Bharat, hence the Ramayana.
So the barrier weakened.
Yeah.
And it gets worse.
It does. By Dwapar Yuga, the Mahabharata era, the belief in the gods has really diminished. You even have humans cursing gods, like Gandhari cursing Krishna.
Yeah, that's a big shift.
And the sources say by this time, demonic influences had actually entered our bloodline, our DNA. That's why the Mahabharata is a family war. Both sides, Pandavas and Kauravas, had these conflicting, sometimes demonic traits within them.
A war within the family, within the blood itself,
Well.
chilling. And now, Kali Yuga.
Kali Yuga, our current age. Now, both good and bad are just mixed within everyone's DNA. People knowingly do unethical things, chase profit over principle. It's seen as a sign of this ongoing intellectual and moral decay.
That's a pretty stark trajectory. It really makes you think about that question the sources raise. Were the gods in Asuras originally? Well, aliens. Beings from other planes or blocks?
It's a fascinating possibility they explore. First off, they point out that ancient India knew the Earth was round Bhugal long before the West figured it out.
Right, that's important context.
So the alien idea, think about it this way. If humans travel to another planet in the future, interact with beings there, and then leave, how might those beings remember us?
Gods from Earth. Visitors from the sky.
Possibly. So maybe terms like heaven, swarg, jannat, maybe they aren't totally separate places, but different cultures' names for the same concept, or even just different viewpoints of Earth from these, let's call them extraterrestrial visitors. It ties back to that idea that maybe all gods are one.
That really flips the script on conventional religious ideas. What about things like giant animals, megafauna, or the Vanara Sena from Ramayana? Were they just myths?
The sources say no, not entirely. Megafauna mammoths, saber-toothed tigers definitely existed. We have fossil-proof animals were much larger and different.
Okay, that's historical fact. But the Vanara Sena, Hanuman's army.
They weren't just regular monkeys as often depicted. The sources describe them as a distinct Kapi clan. Think of it like a separate species, similar to how we're Homo sapiens.
A different kind of primate species.
Yes, close to human form, intelligent with their own culture, capable of complex actions and imitation. Figures like Hanuman, Bali, Sugriv belong to this Kapi clan, a distinct group, not just mythical apes.
Interesting, a biological reality behind the story. And speaking of Hanuman,
Oh,
he's another Chiranjeevi, right? An immortal.
he is. His story is incredible. Immense power, even as a child, famously mistaking the sun for a fruit he could just grab.
Right, I remember that story.
But get this, the Hanuman Chalisa, that ancient hymn. The sources claim it mentions the precise distance between the Earth and the sun. A distance NASA only verified much, much later.
Seriously, in the Chalisa.
That's what these sources state. Incredible if true. And remember when Indra struck him down with the Vajra? His father, Vayu, the wind god, stopped all air on Earth in fury.
Causing chaos.
Total chaos. So the gods had to appease Vayu. They granted Hanuman loads of boons, including immortality, but crucially, they also made him forget his own immense power.
Why?
Perhaps it was too much for the world, or for him at that time. He only remembered it later when Ram needed him and reminded him.
Ah, that makes sense of why Jambavan had to tell him about his strength. His role wasn't just in the Ramayana, though.
Not at all. His story continues. He fought Shiva, even swallowed his Trishul at one point. He humbled Garuda, Vishnu's eagle mount, in a race. He swallowed the Sudarshan chakra.
Wow, he took on some major divine forces, and in the Mahabharata.
Big role there, too, though sometimes subtle. Pim, known for his incredible strength, couldn't even lift Hanuman's tail when they met. Why? Hanuman could just alter his way at will.
Right, the disguised old monkey story.
Exactly. And more significantly, he was present symbolically on Arjun's chariot flag throughout the Kurukshetra war.
Just on the flag.
Yes. But Krishna later explains to Arjun that it was Hanuman's immense, unseen weight on that flag that literally stopped Karna's most powerful arrows from completely destroying or pushing back the chariot.
So he was like a secret weapon? An anchor?
A silent, powerful protector. And the sources suggest his story isn't even over then. It culminates in the future Kali Kalki War. His mission as a Chiranjeevi continues.
Incredible endurance. This brings up another group, the Saptarishis, the seven sages.
Yes, divine figures created by Vishnu, according to these texts, specifically to impart knowledge to humanity. They're credited with writing the four Vedas.
And continuing lineages, right?
Okay.
Like Kashyap and the snakes.
Exactly. Kashyap, through his wife Kadru, is considered the ancestor of the Nagas, the snake beings. They played a foundational role in knowledge and, well, biology, according to these narratives.
It's also deeply interwoven. Now let's really pivot to the scientific side, because the sources hammer this point home. Ancient India had knowledge that predates Western discoveries, often by centuries.
This is where Satyology feels really concrete. Take plastic surgery. An ancient surgeon named Sushruta wrote the Sushruta Samhita, like 27 volumes of it.
What was it?
Detailed surgical techniques, reattaching ears, reconstructing noses. Think about how common battle injuries were. His work apparently formed the basis for modern plastic surgery when it eventually reached the West. He's called the father of surgery.
Amazing. What else?
Medicine. The festival of Dhanteras celebrates Dhanvantari, called the first doctor of the world. He's said to have emerged from the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean, with the pot of elixir, and he taught medicine. This, the sources suggest, is the ancient root of Ayurveda, explaining that ongoing dialogue, sometimes tension, with allopathy.
So modern disciplines tracing back to these ancient figures and events.
It seems so. Look at the solar system. We talked about the Navagraha, the 9 planets. They were worshipped in India long before Copernicus or Galileo in the 16th century. The term Surya Mandal, solar system, was already there.
They knew about 9 planets back then.
That's the assertion. And gravity. Brahmagupta, way back in 668 CE, wrote that the Earth attracts everything towards itself. Later, Bhaskara II, around 1150 CE, actually coined a term for it, Gurudvakarsan gravitational force.
Centuries before Newton.
Centuries, yes. Newton's work was in the 1600s. And then there's ancient aviation. The Vimana Purana talks about flying machines, vimanas, powered by mercury.
Mercury? How would that work?
Apparently, mercury gets much lighter when heated, acting sort of like helium. The sources claim NASA is actually looking into similar principles for prototypes now, but the fact that text describes such machines implies they must have understood gravity and aerodynamics way back then.
You wouldn't write about flying machines if you didn't grasp the forces involved.
Exactly. It suggests ancient India wasn't just spiritual, it was deeply scientific. Maybe, as the sources hint, just not as focused on marketing those discoveries globally.
What an absolutely packed deep dive. We've gone from seeing Ravan differently to the incredible immortality of Parashram and Hanuman, that mind-bending math of the number 9, the journey of souls.
And the science, the surgery, the astronomy, gravity.
Right. It really drives home that idea you mentioned earlier. Maybe we're just rediscovering things that were understood long ago.
It certainly feels that way reading these sources, knowledge that was perhaps lost or misinterpreted over time.
And for you listening, think about those aha moments. How does reframing mythology as satiology change your perspective?
Hmm.
It leads to that final thought, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Given how accurate this ancient knowledge seems to be in so many areas, astronomy, medicine, math, maybe even understanding consciousness and time, what other stories, what other myths might actually be lost in satiology? Truth's just waiting for us to catch up to understand their deeper connections. Makes you wonder, how much we still don't grasp.
It really does. How much is still just below the surface?